Welcome back to 5 Minute Knives, the channel that hasn't had a decent Italian meal since it moved to Colorado. Today, we're going to talk about how I'm slowly becoming disenchanted with folding knives the older I get, and it's a sad thing, but it's something I wanted to talk to you guys about. So, this is going to be a discussion, settle in, and I need your help in the comments. I know because of my clickbaity title, many of you rolled up your sleeves and are coming in here looking for a scrapperoon, but the reality is, in real life, I can mush 99.99999% of all your faces. And that's a scientifically proven fact. So let's play nice, right? Anyway, I know it's a clickbaity title, but I'm trying to get the views up. I've been doing giveaways lately, and giveaways are really bad for the channel, apparently. I hit up these companies, I litigate on your behalf, I say, hey, my guys would really like this product or that product. If you send it in, I'll give it to them, and it'll really help your company with exposure and things like that. And what happens is every time I have a giveaway, you don't watch it, and I ask you to share it on your social media and you don't. So I'm not begging these companies anymore on your behalf. I'm not going to do it. However, there'll still be giveaways. I think I might give away free custom sheaths because that's in my control. And then the crap that people sent me, if I don't want it, I might just sell it. So there you go. That'll help me out and it's good to go. If not, if you guys are really interested, start trying to watch these videos more and or sharing them. It would really help me out because this way I don't look like an idiot to these companies. Gabish? Good. Okay, folding knives. Over the years, you guys know that I've been stuck on the Endura 4. It comes up in all sorts of videos. It's not a mystery. Why? Well, the reason being is the 4 ounces is perfect for me. It's not too light like the Stretch 2 XL that feels flimsy to me, and we'll get into that. We've already covered it in a video, and I've already gotten yelled at for that. But it's big enough with the 3.75-inch blade where I could attach a wave to it, and the loss right here of a little bit of, space doesn't bother me because I have the reach. And as you guys know, in a scrapperoon, reach is really important. With the Endura handles, the way that they're shaped, I often find myself sliding down when I need a little extra reach, and this is really nice. So many of you hit me up saying, well, if you ever trained in knife fighting or whatever, you'd understand that XYZ. Well, I have for many, many years. I've been a martial artist my entire life. I have done extensive knife training. What I've always been taught by my instructors was that we're basically in a knife fight, counterattacking. So if you want to go in for anything serious, you're going to put yourself at risk to get stuck your damn self. So if they also have a blade, both of you statistically are probably going to get cut a lot, and it's going to get nasty. If you're too successful, that's going to look really bad for a jury. We know that. But the point is that when they feint or they enter your space in any way, usually with their blade too, you aim for the fingers and hand that's holding it. You try to get them to drop that, and or that's what you can safely poke at when they make a mistake. So you be patient, you get a wide stance, you back up, you circle correctly against their main power hand, whichever hand they're holding the blade usually, and you fare better statistically. Now on patrol, you guys know that I don't get in any knife fights. I carry a firearm and all this other stuff, but at the same time, when I've encountered junkies with the machete or things like that, these principles have kept me safe. I circle in the correct way, I keep the appropriate distance, I mind my footwork, my surroundings, right? And then I pick the appropriate tool to disarm the threat. That's what I do. Okay, so I do have experience in this stuff, and the more experienced I get with my training, the more I realize that a folding knife doesn't really cut it for me as far as self-defense. If it did, it's going to be something like the Endura 4 that's quick out and whatever. The catch is, with a guy like me, I got the mitts. What do they say? Everybody's got one special gift. Mine was the mitts. They gave me the mitts. I got the good mitts here. And very rarely do I want to put something in my hand when I'm working with my mitts. So as a former striking coach, you would assume that I'm lighting people up out there with combos and such. I'm not. All I do is I grab a feller by the shoulder and we take a walk. What's coming in more handy than my martial arts training is my arm wrestling training, because I got the hydraulics now. So what happens is if I grab a feller's shoulder, even if he's wasted on fentanyl or some weird drug, I can cut through that high by pinching into the shoulder and he feels it and they comply. So generally speaking, I don't have to scrap a room. I grab a feller, I put a little authority in my voice, I get the hydraulics going on the old shoulder, I grab an arm maybe, and we walk. I tell them, we're walking. They walk. They don't want to scrap a room. And I haven't had to hurt anybody in a long time. Knock on Kydex. But at the same time, I'm trying to tell you guys I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that stuff. I just want you to trust me on it. Let's not get into a pissing match here. I know my stuff. My friends, my circle, they all trust me with this knowledge. Industry professionals, they speak to me as a peer. That's all I can tell you. So with that in mind, that colors my opinion on blades as a defense option. Ergo, they are tools for me. This is a tool. So I carry a foldy for a few reasons. One, to open boxes. I mainly open boxes 90% of the time. The 10% of the time, it's to, protect me if I really, really needed it. It's a last ditch get off me thing if I'm injured, the old mitts failed me, whatever. The other thing too is I may need it for, an emergency. I had to cut somebody out of a seatbelt one time with old VG10 Endura, and it worked fine. And I cut the seatbelt and let the lady out. She was in a bad car accident. She was bleeding profusely and a bit hysterical. And I just let her know that, it's the good color of blood. That blood's not that dark. You're in good shape. Let's just kind of hang out and don't move too much, ma'am. And she lived, by the way, but things like that. So, and I make the joke that the old emergency tracheotomy, I've never had to do that, but you get my point. So really, I'm just opening boxes. And if I'm just opening boxes, I can take a page out of my Trades Brothers books where they always use these cheap knives. Like this is a dispatch knife and it's like $30, something like that. And they get something like this, some budget steel or whatever, and they beat the hell out of it for like 2 years. They basically use it until it breaks. And then you know what they do? They drop another $20-30 and get another one. And that's it. They're good for another couple of years. I see it all the time. And as a knife snob with a knife tuber channel, it's kind of a slap in the face because here we are spending $150 a pop for knives that we're not even that enamored with, when our Trades Brothers use them more than we do in many cases, and they're spending $20-30 and getting by. And this has led to the rise of my friends in the comments that are real proponents of the Swiss Army knife. And I made a statement in one of my Swiss Army knife reviews that if you're using one of these blades a lot, heavy use, it dulls pretty quickly. My thing is I don't like how it doesn't lock and I could cut myself, so I'm very careful with this. But this is just fine for most of what you're doing. And since 90% of the time I'm just opening boxes, why not a Swiss Army knife? This is great. If that's too thick for you, because this is, what I keep in my everyday pack, you can get something like this one here, much thinner, and you have, your blade right there for opening your boxes. This is fine. It won't take up a lot of room. I threw a little lanyard on it for a quick pull out here. And then out in the woods, you can get like this Huntsman, or is this the Huntsman or Fieldsmaster? I can't remember. And this has a lot of gadgets on it. Very, very cool. And again, you have a couple of blades on here to open your boxes if that's mainly what you're doing. And for your urban use, you have something like the Skeletool. This makes more sense to me than most folding knives because now I have pliers and a couple other tools, scroogey and so on, and I can open the blade from the outside like so. I'm such a snob that I never got into this stuff, and I was such a folding knife geek. I had hundreds of folding knives at one point, and you guys know my story. When I came to Colorado, initially, my place that I got fell through, so I was living out of the car for a little bit, working 2 jobs, and I sold through my knife collection at a pawn shop, and that's where we got to that video where I stopped collecting knives. I realized that a minimalist approach to knife collecting is the way because you develop a strong relationship with your knife. On this keychain here, check out this little cadet. You can open up a box with that just fine. So for 90% of all my folding knife use, a cadet could do the trick. Makes me feel kind of silly I've spent so much money. And I'm not trying to pick on you guys that love folding knives. However, when it comes to blades, I gotta tell you, I'm a fixie guy all the way through, always will be. It's kind of why I leaned into the sheath business and so on. Again, with the folding knives too, like here's another defense knife that I have. I have the Boker Hell Karambit. You guys know I love this knife with La Passion, but I got it with the strong red liner that leads into this ring here, which I love the look of. I think it's great. It just attracts a lot of attention when I'm out. However, it's got a little flipper on the back and the wave opener, so it works the same way as my beloved Endura, but I'm giving up some reach. And you guys know that I hold the Karambit in the foregrip position because I'm not Steven Seagal, right? And I like my reach. And I like my muscle memory to be the same as a punch, my mechanism, and now my Karambit. It's all the same. So under duress, I'm going to react the same way. I'm going to generate a lot of power, and this little son of a bitch is going to make a tear. Okay? You're going to have a bad day. So I don't often do this because people say, oh, you can still use your fingers, but this blade is still poking this way. So I'm going to cut whatever I'm trying not to. So to me, this doesn't work. I would never punch with this. It would hurt my fingers. And I've just gotten so good at using the old Canucks. So yeah, that's that. That's how I feel about the foldies. That's why I'm getting disenchanted, because I only really use them for opening boxes. However, on duty, what did I like to carry? I would carry the Endure 4 in my pocket. And then for self-defense, if needed, and this was my last ditch, was the Tops Ice Dagger. And you guys know I love this knife, and this is my Jamski. It's not the best for doing a lot of your, tasks or whatever. It's got that flat handle. The ergos aren't the best, but I freaking love this knife, and it served me very well in the field. I felt very comfortable with this on me. I wore this one on my vest. It was very, very good. This one I did keep in the reverse grip just to pull it. So one of the very few knives I will go Steven Seagal with. So there's that. Self-defense, I'd rather have the Tops Ice Dagger. Shout out to my boy Tom that just sent this in for a sheath. You know, your everyday task, you could put this on your belt. And this is a fine knife. I would much rather have something like this. You know, when you think of knives being man's second oldest tool, when you have a fixed blade in your hand, no matter what the ergos or, you know, fancy materials are or anything like that, you are tapped in to a very ancient primal aspect of humankind. This was our second oldest tool, was the knife. Not the folding knife, the fixie, something sharp rock, whatever they had. But the point is that there's no moving parts. And I freaking love that. There's no liner locks to fail me. There's no button locks to fail me. Action to think about. I mean, they're fun, they're fidgety, they're cool. For EDC tasks, if you're looking at them as tools, that's great. Folding knives are awesome for that. And if you're doing more than cutting boxes, good for you. But for me, for my mileage, my use, I'm basically just opening boxes. Self-defense around the house, pacha, right? Kizlyar Supreme, Sensei. Is this the Sensei? I think this is the Sensei. This is my bedside. Now, with this knife, you guys know that I generally just snap cut with it. This is my training. It's a 9-inch blade, and I just try to aim for the meat of the bat. I don't stick with this. I don't try to thrust with it. This is a snap cutty son of a bitch. Every once in a while, you'll see me take the lanyard maybe, you know, this way. If I have time, the lanyard's around my thumb like so. Other times, it's, you know, around the back of my knuckles like this. This gives me a lot of leverage. Sometimes I grab it all together so I don't have anything slapping me in the wrist when I do my little snappy cuts. But yeah, I'm real mean with this bridge. Real mean. D2 steel serves me fine, got it pretty sharp, but those snap cuts are gonna open material quickly. So this is my point, guys. I'm mainly just using my fixies these days. This is my wood CM6. You guys know I love this one. You know, I'm not trying to start a fight, but is anybody out there experiencing what I'm experiencing, where you're really just kind of going through fixed blade mania? Here's another 6-inch Kizlyar, love it. So what's the deal? You know, do you love fixed blades more than foldies? Do you like foldies more than fixies? And or why? I need to know this stuff because I'm confused. My tastes are changing, and I don't want to alienate you guys, but I'm a fixed blade dude from now on, I think. The small Azula, the White River Backpacker Pro, these are great EDC blades. I highly recommend you look into them. Let's take this conversation to the comments, and you guys let me know what you think. I'll really appreciate it. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on 5 Minute Knives.